back was killing me for the next day and a half. So I decided it's time to build a set of sawhorses. So there's nothing special about these. They're just an I-beam style sawhorse. When I built them, I actually kind of built them taller than most sawhorses. From the surface up here to the floor, it's actually 38 inches. I figured I'd start out with that. It seems to be a pretty comfortable level. And if they're too tall, I can always shorten them, but it's kind of hard to make them taller. So we'll start out with that and see how that works. But I think that's going to be okay. So since this isn't necessarily a tool that's specifically for my zip build, I'm not going to include the cost of the lumber to build these, although it wasn't very much at all. I'm also not going to include the time it took to build these, because while I will use them for boat building, for building my zip, they won't exclusively be for that project only. They're something that I'll obviously use for years to come. So, just another little tidbit of update. Took a night off from building on the zip to make some sawhorses to make my life easier, and my back is going to thank me.
All right, so July 28th, I put in another 5 hours on the zip build. So for the month of July 2014, we have a total into the boat of 14 3/4 hours. It's now August 1st, so I'll get this video edited and hopefully posted soon, like I promised I would. Show you where we are on the zip. So, 5 more hours, and we now have frame 2 built. So that's frame 2. This is frame 4. Frame 4 is the where the driver, front seat, or the front cockpit would be. The steering wheel will be located somewhere in this area. So that's frame 4. Frame 2 is the dash, basically, of the passenger or rear cockpit. So I finished that up. I've got about 5 hours into that frame. Into frame 2, I've got about 6 hours into frame 4. So I don't know if I'm, behind the ball for building, or about average, or fast. I have no idea. I'd assume, because I'm not a woodworker, that's probably a little slower than most. I guess we'll get in here and talk about some of the materials I use. So this is 3/4 inch mahogany. This is African mahogany, 3/4 inch thick. The plywood gussets, also mahogany. It's a little lighter shade, so, I'm not sure if it's Philippine or, what it is, or if it's just a different color of African mahogany. I couldn't tell you. But it is mahogany ply. I made sure of that. I used nails, and these are silicon bronze nails, which Glenelg recommends. I have 4 nails per side of each frame. So there's 4 here, 4 on the back side. So 8 nails in each side at each joint. So there's a total of 8 here, 8 on the back side, for a total of 16 nails in each joint. And they are ringed silicon bronze, exactly what the Glenelg plans call for. I'm using West System epoxy, and it is their, I want to say it's their 650, what is it? I think it's 650 strengthened epoxy. It's kind of thick. It's almost like honey after it's mixed up to spread on. But anyhow, I bought that West Systems not for any particular reason other than I can mix it 1-to-1 in small batches. It takes about, let's see, there's 15, so we're looking at about 25 cc's of epoxy to glue up one frame. Basically to glue the gussets on both sides. And I don't know if I showed that, but it is double gusseted. And you can see the epoxy where it's squeezed out a little bit. It's not terrible. It's not a big mess by any means, but at least it lets me know that the joint is filled. You can see here, a little bit come out all the way around. Same down here at the bottom, just a little bit. And I can live with that. That's plenty clean enough for me. Anyhow, I went with the West System because it was a small batch that you could mix 1-to-1 in small batches. And it was recommended for... it says it was waterproof, recommended for marine construction and repairs and things like that. And, they stated that it bonded to difficult to bond hardwood. So I thought, we'll give it a try. And
I'm happy with it. So far, no issues.
So I marked the frame 2, and frame 4. But anyhow, long story short, I'm not quite 15 hours into the build for 2 frames and the setup jig behind us. There's a setup frame. I can get these now threaded onto my jig, get the legs officially 5-screwed on the jig, get them set up, trued and plumbed. I still have to build frame 5.5. I still have to build my transom, stem, breast hook, transom knee. So I got to pick up a sheet of 3/4 inch marine and start doing my laminations for that. But so far, I'm very, very happy with how it's turned out. I don't know if it's because I was incredibly nervous, but I really, really took my time when I was cutting this out. I cut these out with a jigsaw. So I really, really took my time and stayed on the lines and was just super careful. And they turned out just beautiful. Maybe it's a good thing I don't work with wood and I'm really nervous. But they turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it. But there we are. We're making good progress. One thing I wanted to mention, the ply. Again, this is marine, and it is 5-ply. We'll see if we can get in here close so you can count them, hopefully. Yeah. Anyhow, you can see there's real thin veneer, 1, 2, 3, and then another real thin veneer on the other side. So it's 5-ply. I don't know, it's pretty stuff. It looks nice. I would have to guess it's going to be stronger than if I were to use Doug fir or something, you know. And I'm going to take my time and build this boat to the absolute best of my ability. And I'm not going to cut any corners. I'm not going to spare no expense. I'm going to buy the best of everything and just do what it takes to build the boat to the absolute best of my ability. Which is why, again, I went with the marine ply. I could have went cheaper here. I could have went with galvanized nails. That's something that the Glenel plan says you can use as an alternate. They are cheaper. But again, I'm not building this boat cheaply. I'm building it to the very best of my ability. So I'm really happy with how it turns out. The 3/4 inch African mahogany. I don't work with wood ever. So I don't know how expensive this stuff is supposed to be. I can tell you right now, it's not cheap. The African mahogany is not cheap. Both of these planks, it took 1 plank to build each frame. So the plank was 3/4 inch thick. It was 8 inches wide by 10 feet long, and that was $55. $55 for 1 plank. Times 2, plus the epoxy, plus the sheet of plywood, plus the silicon bronze nails. It's not the cheapest thing in the world. But again, I'm going to spare no expense. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So I hope this first video update on my Glenel Zip was not too boring. I think I'm making good progress. I'm sure, setting any land speed records, but the quality, in my opinion, is plenty acceptable. It's already above what I thought I was capable of doing. So I'm going to continue, again, doing a whole lot of exactly the same. Thank you for watching. Please rate and comment. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Zip update.